Alright, we got Hellraiser next. So, where to start with Hellraiser? It's been a long time since I've read the original novella, so I don't know how much I can go off of that. The novella is very different, honestly. I don't even know if I want to say it's even fair to call it a normal adaptation. And the only reason I do say that is because Clive Barker wrote the book and also wrote the original movie. So it's kind of okay that they're different because it's the same author, and he knew that he couldn't just adapt it verbatim.
Right.
Because it actually would have been kind of boring. Because I don't think the book is nearly as, like, outwardly gory or anything like that.
Okay.
The book is a little more subtle, more about the ideas than it is about what you see on screen. The screen does the, like, oh, what's your pleasure? And it's like, it's got that famous line, what is pleasure and what is pain to humans? And it gets into, like, some pretty dark shit that I won't elaborate too much on because I can't even pretend to understand half of it myself. But it's essentially a movie about the human psyche when it all boils down to it. The first 3 movies to me are good. Good to great. Well, great to good in descending order is what I should say. The original one's a classic. The second one I would argue is almost as good. The third one I like for my own personal reasons because it just gets crazy with it, but it still at least feels like Hellraiser. And then after that, the series just goes completely downhill to the point where it's just not good until the reboot that came out a couple years ago on Hulu. That was fantastic, and I think that might be actually the best Hellraiser movie.
Oh, man.
I think that the person who played the lead Hell Priest, or Pinhead, even though Pinhead is not actually its name, it's actually the Hell Priest.
Okay.
I think the person who played Pinhead was really, really good. I think the story was a little more interesting. It was literally a rich dude who was trying to, like, figure out the lament configuration. So his rich dude tries to figure shit out. He fucks around and finds out, so to speak. It's pretty much what that movie's all about.
Okay.
And it's fucking great to see. Hellraiser's interesting. Because, like, it doesn't fit in line with other adaptations because the movies very much take the basic idea of the original story and then just do their own thing.
Right. Well,
essentially how that goes.
And I mean, that's an adaptation in, like, its purest form in a sense, if you really think about it. I mean,
It is.
Like, I know you said that you didn't know if you could truly call the first Hellraiser an adaptation because it was really, in reality, written by the author of the Hellbound Heart. But in a sense, I think that's also kind of at the same time the perfect reflection of what an adaptation is. It's an adaptation is not someone else's take on the original. It's just an adaptation of the idea, right? And it's in its purest form, and so that can be the original author adapting the idea to, like, you know, a movie to a musical, to a video game, to a book from a movie, you know? So, I mean, I haven't read the Hellbound Heart at all, but especially if it's more about the idea of evil or so on, shout out Berserk, which also was heavily inspired by Hellraiser, you know, we're gonna get around to it more as time goes on, but, like, you know, Berserk is just gonna kind of be, you know, it can't help but show up in regular episodes.
Yeah, Berserk will be a common thing that comes up with us because it is one of the greatest stories ever told.
And because it was dictated by causality.
Somehow the causality has returned.
So it's, from my experience of watching Hellraiser and so on, I think the most interesting thing about it is how different it is from all those other horror movies of the time, because it's a very contemplative horror movie. Compared to, it's more of a suspense thriller in terms of its, like, the narrative structure.
Yeah.
Compared to your Friday the 13th or the Nightmare on Elm Streets and Halloween's and all that other stuff. So you have kind of that more cerebral aspect to it. And I think it does, I think the idea of it being about basically the Cenobites and all that stuff are just, it's almost like the Darknet version of, like, the law of attraction and like quantum mechanics, because all this messed up stuff only exists because it's in people's minds. So
That's
it's
fair,
like,
actually,
it's like
yeah.
the only reason that there are rotating racks of like human flesh on hooks is because some fucked up person thought it would be a cool thing. And so I think what I found interesting the most about the Cenobites in the original is like the different nature of them. And funny enough, one thing that I think an opportunity that was missed on a lot of it is we don't know their origin stories or so on. So like,
yeah, and you find, I mean, it gets into their origins in the second one.
Okay.
As far as who they actually are. It's essentially they were all humans.
Right.
I guess spoilers for the second one if you care, but for a movie that was made in the 80s.
You haven't watched it yet, like, come on.
Yeah. I
Like,
mean,
it's
if you
on
haven't
you.
watched the Hellraiser series at this point, it's like, all right, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You essentially find out they were all humans. Like Pinhead himself was a World War I soldier, actually, who found the Lament configuration, and really the Lament configuration is in the end it's just a MacGuffin to get to the real like heart of the story,
Just
the
the Rubik's Cube of evil.
heart of the story.
Not to be confused with the heart of the cards.
No.
But it is a Millennium Puzzle.
That it is. But yeah, I mean, Hellraiser's, it's interesting as far as adaptations go, because it is one of those things that it doesn't copy the original source material verbatim. It does just take some of the ideas and then kind of does a little bit more of its own thing. But it's definitely viable when some adaptations do that, because some stories, as we'll find out, I'm sure, really don't progress well to the big screen if you try to copy them verbatim. Mind you, though, we're also going to get to the point where sometimes you should just copy the story because that's what people want to see, and for some reason they refuse to. We'll get to that too.
We will, because it's, I guess, for Hellraiser not to like treat it as like an afterthought or whatever, because I feel like after Hellraiser is a difficult thing not to talk about the ideas present in it versus like the adaptation aspect of it.
Right.
So I guess, why do you feel or believe, whatever, that the reboot, which I have not seen, is maybe a better adaptation? 3 movies, it sounds like you're talking about.
I think it kind of goes beyond just being an adaptation. I think it takes some of the ideas and then turns the lore in, like, it kind of keeps some of the same things, but for the most part, it kind of takes the lore and just does its own thing with it. And I think that's why it's the best, because I think it does really well with the ideas, but then because it does its own story and does it differently even than the originals, I don't think we're going to get any background on this version of Pinhead. I would like to see them come back. I want to see that actor come back. I want to see a little bit more of that, and we'll see what happens. I mean, Hollywood and horror haven't always had the best relationship, so we'll see if they greenlight it. I mean, it didn't even get really a theatrical release. It went to Hulu, so we'll see. But I think it just does the most with the ideas, but keeping it its own original kind of thing is why that one's the best.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's, as an idea of what I think, because we've also talked about the nature of Hellraiser itself as like a film and narrative kind of aspect. And I'll only mention it because I think it ties in with the idea is, I don't remember if it was you or me, but one of us came up with the idea that probably the best way to do it would be an episodic type thing. I haven't seen it, but I know that they've been doing some things like with Predator, where it's basically just Predator in New York, Predator in Hong Kong, like not specifically that, but that whole idea. And like you were just saying, sometimes all you need is to take the thing people love and put it somewhere new. And that's all you need. That's all people want. They want, copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste, because the idea just works. And I think that Hellraiser is one of those things where it's going to be the same story each time because that's the whole idea, right? You can resist everything but temptation.
Yeah,
right? And
I would agree with that.
And so I think the way that you make that work without pretending like, oh no, are they going to open the box? Yes, they're going to open the fucking box, right? But I think if you create these different situations, like, dude, drop the lament configuration into a freaking like home for nuns.
That's
You know what I
kind of
mean?
wild, actually.
Like, drop it into an orphanage.
Oh, no.
Like, drop it into all kinds of... And the thing is, like, you could always cut off, like, the orphanage thing, like, before the kid gets taken or whatever. Like, you can kind of, like, skirt along the edge of Studio A24. You know what I mean? Like, you can...
You can imply things but not show them, but sometimes by doing that, it's almost scarier.
Right. So
because you don't see everything that's happening, but when something's implied, it's like, as long as... sometimes all a movie needs to do is just make you think, and then it's got its hooks in you.
And that's...
Which is exactly what Hellraiser wants.
And that's, you open the box, we came, right? And so I think that episodic series is how you would keep the novelty, you would keep the strength of the story, because I think Hellraiser is a stronger story as like a short story serialized kind of idea.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think that's how you would like really get the juice out of like the meat, so to speak, says a vegetarian. And that's, hopefully we'll get to see that at some point, especially since it sounds like the reboot actually had some success. So I gotta watch that. But yeah, Hellraiser.
Yeah.
You can't resist it.